Hello, I am Lise Colucci, and I'm one of the life coaches at queenbeing.com, where we help you to discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse and toxic relationships. Good morning, afternoon. Hello. So today we're going to talk about perfectionism and narcissistic abuse and how it relates and what you can do to help yourself if you find yourself stuck in the trap of perfectionism. All right. First of all, before we start, if anyone needs help with anything related to narcissistic abuse, head over to queenbeing.com, where there is all kinds of information to help you understand, overcome, get support, all of that. There's links to peer support over there as well to join the Spanily in all sorts of ways. So head over there. Sorry, my phone's dinging and I really don't know how to make that not happen. So those are the magical bells of fairyland. Anyway, okay. If so that people know what's going on, I have a 35% off for 1 hour coaching going on from now through January 1st for a holiday special. It brings the price for 1 hour coaching down to almost the same price as half-hour coaching. So that can be helpful for anyone who needs that. Just check it out if you need it. Everything's in the links. I'm sorry, all of the links are in the main description of every video. If you want notification of my going live, text me at 33222. Put the word Lise live, L-I-S-E-L-I-V-E, L-I-S-E-L-I-V-E, hit send, and I will text you about 10 minutes prior to going live. I go about 4 times a week, and we talk about topics all over the place regarding narcissistic abuse and recovery and ourselves and healing and being a survivor and thriving and all that. Anyway, hey, how are you, Jen and Butterfly Mama and Vicky and Karina? Good day to you guys. As I'm talking about perfectionism in the worst week that I've had of my own ability to speak clearly. So here we go. Hi, Jonna. And I'm typing and I'm making all these typos and I'm cracking up because I spelled perfectionism wrong like 6 times trying to type it out. And I almost left it because it was funny. But then I thought someone's gonna get really upset with that. Anyway, here we go. So perfectionism. Narcissistic abuse can program a perfectionist thinking and patterns and beliefs into the victim of the abuse, right? How do they do that? Well, first of all, we know how. They expect a high standard that is their standard, and they move the bar, right? So they expect something from you, and then they move the bar. If you had a narcissistic parent, you completely will understand this, that the high level of expectation upon you it leads you to think that if you don't meet that mark, you're not loved. Because the way they don't just set a high standard and then show you that all of the achievements you can do in life. It's not like just having good high standards and strong goals and achieving. It's not an achieving mentality per se. It's one of basically they're setting you up to fail. That's what it is with a narcissist. They set you up to such a high standard of perfection that it's inevitable that you fail. And when you do, the transaction doesn't take place because we know their love is transactional. The transaction of goodness of the crumbs of affection don't take place. And instead they diminish you or devalue you or degrade you, shame you, criticize you, humiliate you. And that teaches you multiple things. One is, I need to be perfect or no one loves me. Okay. Some people take that to one way, which is to always strive to be perfect and never being able to meet their own mark. Always never having that bar set for oneself of where good enough is. There is no good enough. There's always the challenge to where is that mark? They don't know. And then another way this can go, another path is, why bother? I can't do anything right anyway. Why bother? Why bother to do anything? So it can create this overachieving attitude and this underachieving attitude, both of which make it so the person cannot meet their true potential for their own authentic life. So what do we do? Okay, so let's keep talking about this, and I have some ideas for how to help with it a little bit. And this is a big topic. It's a very strong belief that's set up in people. So it's one that we tend to easily believe because it doesn't feel negative. right? So what? So what if I want to be better? That should be good, right? Not when it's like this, right? It's not useful to you. What are we saying here? My parents were empaths like myself, and they still, well, it's not just narcissistic abuse that can set it up. Narcissistic abuse, the difference is a narcissistic parent will use it as a reward punishment system. You don't meet the mark, they pull all affection. Every now and then they let you have it. Most of the time it's just wasn't good enough. Or they'll do the double thing. What do they call that? Where it's like, it's almost a bait and switch, but it's a little different. It's where they'll say, oh, that was great, but like, oh, you did so great and you feel good. And then they pull the rug out from under you. So, excuse me, I have a cough. I'm super allergic to the cedars that are blooming. It's that time of year again. Okay. Yes, there's no good enough. Grace is saying, somehow I decided I can't get what I want because I've been through all of this and won't be able to be perfect enough to get what I want. Right. Angela, what's the difference between constantly trying to improve and perfectionism? Perfectionism would be like the need. Well, it's the belief behind it. Trying to improve allows for failure. If you're trying to improve something, you know there's failure involved. You don't get mad at the failure, you welcome it, because each failure is another, not each failure, but often the failures are stepping stones toward the goal. With perfectionism, you have shame, humiliation, anger, frustration, self-loathing, low self-esteem, all wrapped up around each failure. Does that make sense? So it's the attitude and the intention behind it, because it could be seen as one thing otherwise, right? Okay, good. I would swing both ways. Jonna says I would never achieve and then say, why bother? And then throw everything away I worked for. Yeah. You would overachieve and then say, why bother? Yes. It's like we set up our own failures by giving up halfway through, because we can't meet that mark anyway, right? And because we don't know where it is, because it hasn't been taught to us that life is evolving and that we're not supposed to be perfect, and there is no end game. The end game is, honestly, you know what the end game is. We all end up there. So, but living this life, the life that we're living, we don't know where good enough is. We can't live a life of good enough. Honestly, I had said once to someone, I can't be the perfect parent. I can't do all the things the other parents do. I just can't do that. And they laughed and they said, haven't you ever heard about the good enough parent? That's the parent you strive to be. The one that teaches their kids to make their own toast, because it's good enough. let them eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for lunch. They can make those. Good enough. Like it's the good enough, because the child who has, obviously if there's love and affection and kindness involved, that's part of the equation. But it's that we put so much on ourselves to do everything for everyone else, because one piece of perfectionism is people pleasing. If you're a people pleaser perfectionist, you're always doing things for other people and not doing things for yourself, and it's never enough, because it's never going to get you the love and affection you want back. You notice you'll do things for people and it doesn't feel as rewarding because they're not giving back to you what you put in. And yes, that is that transactional thinking that's set up from toxic abuse, right? But it gets stuck in us with the people pleasing. People pleasing is not a healthy thing. We need to eradicate it from our mode of operation and become givers rather than people pleasers. Givers don't give endlessly. Givers give judiciously as they choose, right? People pleasers give because they have no ability to have self-worth on their own without the giving. So it really comes down to your own self-worth, right? Okay, so I'm going to keep going. All right. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, accepting of our imperfections and encouraging others to do rather than do it for them. Right. Good enough. That's right. But we can't get to say that's good enough to someone who has a perfectionist mindset. That's painful, right? Okay. So to a narcissist, the image is everything, right? And especially with their children, a lot of this I'm talking about today because it was asked about perfectionism as it related to someone who has a narcissistic parent. So, but it's not just that. It can be set up with a narcissistic partner over enough time. The perfectionist thinking can get into the survivor as well. It's more extreme, I think, when it's been in you from childhood as part of how you see yourself. The image to the narcissist is everything, and especially when it's a parent with their child, they live vicariously through the achievements of that child. We all want our children to do well and succeed, and we all have pride and joy and live a little bit vicariously through them when they're doing it. Usually, hopefully, if you have empathy, you are empathically experiencing the joy separate from them and allowing them to have their own joy at the same time, or their own experience. Maybe they didn't think it was that great, but you thought it was really great. So you have your joy and they have whatever they have. We are separate beings. With a narcissist, they own that child. That child is that means by which they can live a second life by directing your actions and directing your failures and achievements. They need you to fail too, because if you are perfect, they have no one to control, right? So they need you to fail. I don't know why I laugh all the time. I'm sorry. This is very serious, actually. I find it ridiculous, the way they think. And even though it's painful and sad, I find it's absurdity to me, the way they think. So that's why I giggle. And I just realized that I giggle at the really inappropriate time. Sorry about that. Okay. So, yeah, that's what they do. They live vicariously through their children. When that child does not meet the standard of the narcissist's delusion in that moment, the child is knocked down a notch, told they're not good enough, told they need to do better, told that, why did you do it that, criticized, shamed, ignored. Yeah, they're not told, hey, so do you giggle? Yeah, I giggle. I just giggle a lot. See? Okay. All right. It's okay. What do? They put undue responsibility onto children. In other words, they may be neglectful and not wanting to be responsible for their own emotions because they're narcissists and they can't be, right? So they may be doing that to a small child. That small child is not a narcissist. That small child is you, right? And you take on the responsibilities of that adult person's emotional outbursts, reactions, erratic behavior. The erratic behavior itself creates the perfectionism in the child because they never know where they fit. They don't know where the child doesn't know. They don't have a compass of what's up and down, right and left, because they don't know when the mood's going to shift. They're children. They're just learning about how to relate to other people, right? And so what they're learning is that adults are erratic, or that everyone is erratic. No, they're not learning that. They're learning that the world can't be trusted and they need to fix it. They need to take the responsibility for everybody else because otherwise they're not safe. For a child, it's all about survival. So to survive, mom can't be the problem, dad can't be the problem, I'm the problem. I'm the problem because I can take that on and then I can have some means of control and self-protection. If mom's the problem, oh gosh, how am I going to live? How am I going to survive? Right? So the child takes it on themselves. This is how these things are set up in childhood. And it's understanding it doesn't mean it can't change. Understanding it is the beginning of the change. Understanding that it was your self-protection that led you toward this perfectionism. So let it go, right? You don't need it. Okay. Perfectionism was one of those things, says Jen. I had to learn to let go of. Yep. Now I love that genuinely am no way near perfect, but joyful in the knowledge. Absurd, perfect world. Love it. Excellent. See, it's so much more. This is a huge piece of becoming free. Letting go of perfectionism is a huge thing to strive toward freedom. You would think that that becoming more perfect. See how I stumbled over that? You would think that becoming more perfect would be the freedom, but it's in the freedom to be oneself that you find the freedom. And there is no such thing as perfect. There is no mark to meet. There's no top. There's no end to perfectionism. It's a trap. It's a trap somebody else put in your head. So we got to learn to let it go. Okay. Angela says, I was raised like this, but always thought my mom was severely codependent rather than a narc. Is it similar? Yes. Anytime someone is a perfectionist, if you're a perfectionist and you're raising your children with perfectionist ideals, doesn't make you a narcissist, right? But narcissists do it in a violent, toxic way where it's transactional exchange for affection. A codependent does not do it in that way. So, or any other person who's just, a perfectionist. There's plenty of perfectionists out there. And not to say that they're all like damaging their kids, but it does plant the seed in your children's head that in children's heads that being perfect even exists. And it doesn't. And it's not leading someone toward innovation, toward creativity, toward happiness. Most people who feel like perfectionists really wish they could let it go. Don't you think? I don't know a whole lot of them. A lot of people who really own their perfectionism, who think, gosh, I love that I'm this way. That I think most people would not want that to be continued. But when it comes from a narcissist, it's blended with all the other narcissistic abuse, right? So that it becomes part of the belief of self, in combination with the trauma bonding, in combination with all the other negative toxic beliefs that we're taught, and the things that are going on in our head from the abuse. So it's just a little sliver of what goes on. And someone brought it up. That's why I made it a whole big topic. Okay. Giggling is good for the soul. Carry on. Okay. So, all right. As an adult now, Grace is saying, I realize I haven't achieved anything I had once thought I would. Welcome to the world of adulthood. Really? I think, Grace, that to me is the biggest, most wide open door you can ever see in your life. That's the door, the windows, and the whole countryside out before you, open to your own potential, to see that you have not met any of the achievements you thought you'd meet, because it allows for the what is instead of the what I thought would be, and now it is, and then what? So it is the and then what, and so it gives you somewhere to go. I'm trying to let my current life feel good enough, but I have nothing to show for my achievements. You have way more than you realize to show for your being. That's the important part, and it's a mindset. Right? Of course we want achievements, and of course we want successes, and of course but we limit ourselves by thinking that because we didn't meet the things we thought we'd meet, that we now can't achieve anything. And we miss the achievements that we did have because they weren't on the list. So maybe going back and seeing the tiny little achievements you did have in your life, even if it was like, I learned to bake a cake, never thought I'd do that. Wow, I can actually bake a cake, whatever, something, it doesn't matter what it is. Learning to seeing that you can achieve things. So it's not to say that like letting go of perfectionism means you don't have any goals. It's just that seeing that the goals that we didn't meet means that we're not worth anything, when in fact, those are the open door to learning something new. Okay. All right. Not knowing how to date anyone other than a narcissist after 18 years with a narcissist. That's coming soon, Janae. I'm going to do more on dating soon. Yay. Okay. We'll hold off on that one because that's a whole topic. And yeah. Okay. I'll have to disagree. If you're happy with who you are, that shows everything and the best achievement ever. You're awesome. See? Okay. Butterfly Mama says, I'm learning how to relax and realize no one is looking over my shoulder to check to see if I measure up to their standards. Have to say to myself, I'm doing okay, my best, my way. You see, that's the difference. Somebody who is narcissistic really can plant the seed that there is someone constantly looking over your shoulder. I am losing my voice. Excuse me. It may go away. Okay. All right. So what else? I got it before it rang. Oh, I've got the phone just dinging today. All right. Let's see. If you don't fit the idealized version of what the narcissist has set up for you by not being the perfect whatever, then this was said to me by someone, then the proverbial hammer comes down on your head and you are devalued. So it sets up the perfectionism. Okay. What else? Okay. So let's talk about this. There's the perfectionist mindset of I got to be better. I need to be better. I must be better. I have to be better. It's full of self-doubt. There's an inner critic that is really mean, actually. There's a lot of worthlessness, right? What did I write here? Oh, that comes from the high standards of the narcissist that is used as then punishment system or reward system. Because of that, so what do you do? I mean, you can hear what you do about it. Self-doubt, work on the self-doubt. I mean, we'll go on to on some ideas in just a minute. I'm going to keep it for the end because I'm getting all mixed up. Okay. My last name was Lee for Fears. I wasn't really a type. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, you guys. So, and then another form of perfectionism can be where you expect others to be perfect. No one's meeting your mark. And this would be the codependent. You were talking about a codependent parent or anyone that is expecting other people to meet a standard that is just not realistic. It's a huge narcissistic flea, really, to expect something of other people that is way too high. Well, okay, there's two things. There's the expectation that people don't meet what you need them to meet, and therefore they're not perfect and then they're not good enough, and then the devaluing can happen, which is a narcissistic trait. In a person who isn't a narcissist, it's called a flea, right? But then there's also seeing people's potential and being frustrated that they can't meet it. It's the mind. So, okay, if I'm talking to someone and I see they have massive potential, I see potential in everybody. Okay. Talk to them. That's one of the like blessings and curses of my life is the seeing of potential. I see potential. I see them. I see their worth. I see their value. I see their beauty. And if they're not living a life in accordance with that, it's so frustrating, right? But I have learned that's not my place. That's not my place. It's not my place to even tell them unless it's something that they are asking or they need to hear for positive purpose, and said in a very careful way that it doesn't come out like I'm judging them, right? But it's the intent behind it that is different from expecting them to live out that potential, right? And so that kind of perfectionism, we got to work on letting others be who they are. Because then, see, and that's where the narcissist is different. They're not, that they can see the value. Of course they do, because they see your value as what it can do for their life. It's currency. Your value is currency to them. And so they use it, and they use it as a tool to manipulate you, to make you feel what they want you to feel in any given moment so that they have power over you. And so understanding that's what was lived through means breaking away from that and living differently by how you think about yourself. So that mindset that has been planted in you is toxic. The perfectionist mindset is not helping your life. So how can we get it out? Let's talk about some of that. Okay. All right. Anybody dating? It seems to come back. Took me almost 2 years. Okay. Yeah. Mental hamster wheel to strive to perfection. It is. What else did I write here? One thing that when you have a perfectionist mindset, most people, or many people, let's put it that way, um, have some loss of sense of self, because you don't know. How can you know who you are if you're always trying to achieve what you think you should be based on what somebody else has planted in your head? You're chasing not only a hamster wheel, but like a hamster wheel in the sky that isn't even your hamster wheel. You're chasing like smoke demons or dragons or whatever. They're not real. There's nothing. The standards that have been set, the who you think you are based on this perfectionist mindset isn't who you actually are. And so you're chasing some idealization of who somebody else has planted in your head that you should be. And you have taken on and created a whole nother idealization inside your head of who you think you should be based on the programming. Does that make sense? I now take imperfect action because then I have something I can work with, to make better, not perfect, just better. And that is perfect. That's one of the tips I have here. Just do something, anything, do it wrong. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So not knowing who you are, self-discovery is part of this healing path. We are devalued, diminished. Our self-worth is at its probably all-time low. After narcissistic abuse, you already are on a search for self. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you like. You don't know who your friends are. You don't know who to trust. You don't know what you can trust in yourself. You don't know if you can set boundaries. You don't know, all the things about yourself. You just don't know. You're lost, right? And most people feel really lost. They feel really stuck and really confused about who they are. Hi, Violet. And so another piece of this is when you are clinging to perfectionist ideals about who you think you are based on some idealized version in your head of what you think you should be. Again, those not meeting goals you think you should have met. You're clinging to something that is not who you are. So finding yourself takes mistakes. It takes errors. It takes allowance. It takes actually observing yourself like you would a kid, like fairly and honestly and with some compassion, a lot of compassion, so that you can find who you are. If you don't know who you are, how do you know what your potential is? And how can you meet that potential? You're not looking for perfectionism, stifles your potential. Isn't that weird? But it's true, because you're chasing an ideal rather than working with the gifts and talents and joy that you have inside and bringing that forth as potential for something better in your life. Okay. Another thing that can happen is you can have a lot of anxiety. So low self-esteem, people pleasing, poor boundaries. These are symptoms of perfectionism, or they're symptoms of narcissistic abuse, but it's all also tied in with perfectionism. High anxiety, anger, and shame, right? And we talked about that. Okay, so now let's switch over and talk about some things to kind of help with letting go of perfectionism. Now we know what's going on, what it is, how it's affecting you. All right. Well, the shoulds. I should have, in 2 days, I've summarized your life. Well, yeah, we're all right there with you. It's all, okay. Okay. So letting go of the shoulds and the musts and the buts. And yes, I did spell butt with 2 T's in my notes. That's funny. Anyway, okay. Let go of the shoulds and the musts. Just let them go. Every time you catch yourself saying I should have, I'm going to go back to, was it Grace's comment about I didn't do any of the things I should have done in my life. I don't know if she worded it that way, but let's say it was worded that way for sake of example. I haven't met any of the expectations that I had for myself that I should have had, that I should have met by now in my life. Replace that should, get it out of there. that creates black and white thinking, that there is only two ways. There's the way it should be and the way it isn't. There's one way and another way, and that's it. You got to get rid of the black and white thinking. Black and white thinking is a huge symptom of perfectionism, and also is an effect of narcissistic abuse, because that's how narcissists think, right? And no one is perfect. So yeah, we have to remember, like, from the day you were born until the day you die, you are perfectly imperfect. End of sentence. There is no such thing as the perfect human. There isn't. There is no perfection. Okay. Is it part of CPTSD? I think so. Yeah. I think the perfectionism grooves are deepened when the relationship partner breaks our boundaries. Yes, that was the next thing I was going to say. Learn to set boundaries. There you go. All right. If I keep saying no and they do it anyway, after years, the brain just says my words aren't worthy. I don't exist. I'm invisible. Unless I do what that person says as they say it, I am invisible. I don't exist. I'm beyond not worthy. I'm not here. Right? Yep. So learning to set boundaries and stepping away. So the difference is in your life now, when you set boundaries and somebody crosses them, what can you do? Step away. Step out. Done. Cross my boundary. I'm out. Right? And it comes back to what we talked about the other day with self-agency and our will. So this all goes together. Okay. Making that t-shirt, Perfectly Imperfect, little cutie tank. There you go. All right. Violet says, I've been working with the family dynamics lately and I was scapegoat. Can't do anything right. Stopped trying outwardly, but still have the perfectionist inner tendencies. Yes. That's what we were talking about a little earlier with this. Because it's the belief inside yourself. So another suggestion is stop aiming for perfection. Remember, it doesn't exist. That is aiming for the unicorn. Okay. I'd like to think they're real, but yeah. Deal with what is. Deal with what's right in front of you. Deal with a goal or a dream that you have versus some idealized perfection of that dream. If you have, there's like a balance of going with what you want for your life and positivity and the expectation that it will be exactly as you think it is. We don't know what it's going to be until you try it, and you're going to stumble getting there. It's the way it goes. So stop aiming for it as the ultimate goal. Perfectly flawed. Just, yeah, perfect is boring. Perfect would be completely boring. It would just be, nature isn't perfect. All you have to do is look at one tree or one flower and see that there is some imperfection somewhere. It's reality. It is more in reality to be imperfect than it is to be perfect. It's natural to be imperfect. Lise, does it affect us so bad, perfectionism, because it's an impossible place to reach in the eye of the narcissist, so we never get there? Yes, because and they're constantly moving the bar up, up, up. So you might meet that standard, and they may give you a couple breadcrumbs, and the next time you try to meet that standard, bam, it's up here. You know, you cook an amazing dinner and it's perfect and blah, blah, blah. And that narcissist is like praising you and telling you how wonderful. Thank you so much. I always thank you. Do you notice that I always thank you when you cook me a nice meal? I always thank you. I'm so gracious. I give you all this thanks and all this praise. Do you see me doing this? I'm doing this right now. And they actually will say that. And then the next time you cook the meal, bam, you taste it and you're like, oh, it's fabulous. They're going to love this meal. And they eat the meal and they're like, why are you scowling while you're eating? You've completely ruined my dinner. I don't even want to eat it. They just moved the mark. They just moved the standard up to some other thing just to knock you down. So yeah, that totally messes with your self-worth, with your feelings of existence, right? And you're chasing an ideal that doesn't exist when you're chasing perfectionism. Hi, Crystal Jean. And perfectionism is subjective. Subjective. It is very subjective. Yes, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. It's entirely subjective, but it's also, again, it's an ideal. And ideals are fine for fairy tales because you're setting fairy tales aren't meant to be real. They're meant to show you archetypes. They're meant to show you um, they're meant to show you the black and white thinking because it's absurd, because it shows the absurdity of that type of thinking, and it shows the dynamic that can go on between the good and the bad and the black and the white and the yes and the no. But real life does not exist in that way. Real life is, if you go like I said, go out into nature and look at one thing and look at all the imperfections that are all over it. Does that make it ugly or wrong? No, it makes it what it is. It makes that tree different from the other tree, right? That's all it does. It allows for uniqueness, the imperfections, whatever you want to call it. All right. I can tell it's perfectionism when I wouldn't expect someone else to meet the standard I'm trying to hold for myself. That's a good way to look at it too. Unless you're a person that projects the perfectionism outward, then you'd have to flip it. But shades of gray and purple and yellow and rainbows and all that. Yeah. Let's see. My parents put pressure on me to be perfect, successful. Right. And see, and we do that even without being toxic. Not all people are toxic that are perfectionists. Absolutely not. I mean, most of us are perfectionists and we're not meaning to be toxic to anyone else. Or we're not being toxic. We're keeping it all inside and bottled up. So, yeah. Okay, where are we? If I missed anything, please just retype if it's a question, because when I scroll and it jumps, I get lost because of my imperfections. All right. I'm asking you to accommodate my imperfections, but it'll get the question answered. So, all right. So some things you can do. Oh, what did I say here? You have to give yourself permission to be yourself and to be real. Do you know how hard that is? Sorry, but that is like how? Okay. Whoa. You just do it. You let yourself be yourself. You observe yourself without judgment. If you can sit inside yourself and just see life, see all the absurdities, all the joys, all the failures, all the sadness, all the happiness, without judging it, we could just be ourselves. That'd be a nice society, wouldn't it? Or at least be nice for you. So a lot of that comes down to listening to your inner voice, listening to your inner dialogue, listening to your self-judgment, listening to your self-talk, and working with those beliefs that you're hearing, changing them. This is where it gets actively into self-awareness and what am I trying to say? Self-care, really, self-worth, all of that, all the self stuff, all the good self stuff, where if you're listening to your dialogue that you're telling yourself, and that dialogue is your inner ding, my inner ding. I think the ding threw me that time. Like, oh, why did it do that? All right. Hard when you've been attacked. So let me just tell you, it's all hard. It's hard. This is hard work. It's also not. Okay. It's as hard because we cling hard. We cling hard to these beliefs because it's all we know. And because what happens if we let go? We're afraid of change. You see how all my talks all kind of go together? Yeah, that's because we're afraid of change. We're afraid of letting go. We want change and we're afraid of change at the same time. Not all of us. I mean, I'm speaking generally here. Everyone has a different reason why we cling to the old beliefs. We think it's hard. So maybe, Violet, your task is for yourself could be something like just redefining what's hard. Or realize it's hard, so what? So what? Some things are hard. It's hard to run a marathon, but if you want to run it, you're going to train, right? It's hard to, and if you don't want it, you're not gonna. It's okay. So if you want something, so what if it's hard a little bit? And no, you're not alone. It's hard, but you're not alone on this journey. That we're all working to let go. We're working to let go. That's funny, but really, there's a lot of oxymorons here and paradoxes. Okay. The vulnerability does not have to be to another person. When you said every time you've been made yourself vulnerable, then you get attacked. And that's where detachment comes in and self-love. You don't need to be vulnerable to another person when you're healing. You can learn to be vulnerable to yourself because you will stop attacking yourself. You can make a promise to yourself that every time you attack yourself, you're gonna apologize and you're gonna step up and do the right thing, which is restate that negative belief. That almost came out with a cuss word. You guys have no idea. I keep it so clean here. Okay. Yeah. So every time, so you can become your hero and protector by stopping the attacks that go on internally. And then therefore you can be vulnerable to your own experiences in life. That doesn't mean you have to be open up to other people in that way yet. And when you find safe people, you can, and then you can test it and you have someone who has your back, which is yourself, right? Ultimate inside joke. It is an ultimate inside joke. Okay. I'm so weird and silly and I don't give a poop what anyone thinks about me anymore. Yay! There's my friend. It was so stifled and basically frozen with the narcissist. Can you believe I didn't laugh for 4 years? Seriously. Maybe once in a while at a comedy or something like that. But my demeanor is completely different. The goofy, silly, don't really give up what anyone thinks. I mean, of course I care, but you know what I mean? Like about that part, you should see me dating. Someone looks at me like I'm weird. I just keep going. And I'm like, I don't care what you think, buddy. It's just, I do. You think what you think. I think what I think, whatever. It's all good. I don't care. That was gone. That was gone. So yeah, it's achievable. You can let go of this perfectionist thinking that means other people's version of you matters. All right. If I ever do get into a relationship, it's going to take a special guy to accept my weirdness, but I'm not changing for anyone. I love you, Crystal. That's my mantra. That's exactly what I think. Yeah. And it's okay if I don't. I don't care. I mean, care is a different word. That's the wrong word. It's okay if I'm just with me. It's all good. All right. All right. Hi, Dana. Where we are. Okay. You are fun. It's okay. You can weird, not a word, autocorrect, not word. I'm word. Somewhere out there, there's a pizza kitty. I don't even know what that means, but it is my quote of the day. I have a little book. Now I'm way off topic. I have a little note file of quotes of the day. Can I use it, Angela? I always ask people because I don't mean it in a making fun of sense. I just mean it it's fabulous as a statement all by itself, and it'd be an awesome book title. Somewhere out there, there's a pizza kitty. It's the best quote. Okay. Anyway, can I use it in my quote of the day? I'm not doing anything with it, but I ask. All right. If I can remember, and I'm gonna have. Oh man, I just want to screenshot that right now. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's go back to our topic. I'm going crazy here. Okay. I work with people who have been thrashed by a narcissist or two. Oh, I'm sorry. Me too. Yeah, me too. Yes, pizza kitty quote is okay. Let's talk about it. Okay. So, okay. More about how to help with the perfectionist mindset. Excuse me. Self-awareness, time, and learn to accept yourself. Self-awareness. What does that mean? Doesn't mean self-judgment, right? It means sitting back inside of you, watching what it is you do, watching your feelings, watching your thoughts. It's a place inside yourself that is free of judgment from those feelings and thoughts. Wow, I'm feeling sad today. End of sentence. Wow, I'm feeling a little embarrassed about this. And that's interesting. What's that about? It questions. It's the place inside of us that questions our life, that allows for mistakes. If you don't allow for mistakes, how can you make change? You cling to a perfectionist ideal and beat yourself over the head with the mistakes you made, and nothing changes, right? All right. Someone named Dana popped in and was looking for Pizza Kitty and realized she wasn't in the forum and left. Oh, okay. All right. All right. Still a good quote. Okay. So when we talked about working with your beliefs, one thing in coaching, in group coaching in particular, it seems to come up a lot, is we work with beliefs. We work with these, we work with these beliefs that people have that they make them cling to these perfectionist ideals that are trapping them. A lot of times people who have a lot of perfectionism feel stuck. That's kind of what I've seen go hand in hand in coaching in particular, is that people will feel completely stuck. Like they just can't make any change. They're stuck. And then when it comes out later is they're often feeling like they're not good enough and they're not able to meet some standard that they think they should have for themselves. And that's where the stuck is. And so there's a lot of, that's finding ways to work with that. You can try therapy. You can try, behavioral therapies. In coaching, I use NLP, excuse me, NLP exercises to help people gain perspective on the just shine more light and give more room around those beliefs. You can try restating your beliefs once you hear them. I don't do that well. I don't do that very good. I'm not good at that. To, wow, I really try hard. Look at what I'm doing. Or, okay, I see where this mistake could have, if I do it this way, then maybe it will be different. It's changing the inner dialogue. It's important to work on those inner dialogues and those inner beliefs. Those are huge. Affirmations go hand in hand with that. Make a list of affirmations. Do your gratitude lists every day. 3 things you're grateful for, or 5 things you're grateful for, or 10 things you're grateful for. I don't care. Do a number, pick it, do it. 3 things you love about you. 3. Get them. There's only 3. You can find 3. I don't even care if it's, I love that this piece of hair. I don't care. Just anything. Make it up. Do it. Get the gratitude toward yourself flowing. Get the gratitude toward your life flowing. It changes the need for, along with other things, it can help change the need for striving for some ideal that doesn't exist, which is the perfectionist mindset. Okay. Affirmations, gratitude. What else did I write down here? Be prepared to fail. Okay. We fail every day, all the time. Little failures all the time. It's okay. It's good. Change your mindset about what that word means. It's not a bad word. That's black and white thinking that makes it negative. Got to work on that black and white thinking. That black and white thinking it polarizes you to a yes or a no, or a right or a wrong, or a good or a bad. Morality has its purpose for good and bad and right and wrong, to keep us from harming other people and harming ourselves. That's different. What I'm talking about is taking that to an external world that it doesn't belong in. I drew a picture and it wasn't the way I wanted it to look. Therefore, it's bad. Doesn't make any sense. What it is not the vision that you had for the picture. And maybe you need to learn some techniques to help achieve what it is you want, so that you build upon the failures. You build upon the things that aren't meeting what you look at. That's creating positive flow toward a goal, instead of, this is bad, I can't draw, throw it away, or this is bad, I'm gonna torture myself by doing it over and over and over again and being angry and upset all the time every time I look at it. It's your inner attitude. All right. Okay. I meditate when I'm feeling like it's kicking my butt. Good. Yep. I was so stuck. I couldn't accomplish anything. Right. You get stuck and you just spin your wheels. You can't accomplish anything. Jonna says, when I mess up, it helps to ask myself, what did I need to learn because it jumped? Because then I can praise myself for learning. Exactly. What did I need to learn? If you learn to question instead of criticize, your life can change a whole heck of a lot. If you learn to question, it comes back to the who am I and the loss of self, or the not even having a very strong sense of self because of the abuse and because you were trained to believe you're supposed to be some other person's idealized version of perfection. If you can question, who am I in this? What am I trying to learn? What do I need? Those kind of things. What did I need? What would help? How can I do this differently? If you can learn to question instead of saying, this isn't good, this isn't very good, this is not enough. You see what I'm saying? Flip them into questions that are positive. You can change your attitude about the way you're doing things, and the perfectionism can kind of fall by the wayside a little bit. Okay. It's a lovely piece of hair, isn't it? Just, okay. It robs you of all the work you put in, perfectionism. It does, because it's saying that everything you've worked for didn't matter because it didn't meet the standard. And that's not true. Okay. You're devaluing your own life experiences through a perfectionist attitude. So this is all about learning to value yourself, to value your life, your experiences, and to let go of the thinking that creates the trap of thinking there is some idealized version of who you're supposed to be. There's no should, guys. There isn't. All right. Okay. I think I am talked out of this topic for now. Unless you guys have more to say, I'm just going to read what you guys say. Crystal says, Jeannie, I'm sorry for that. Oh, I missed the religious comment, so I'm going to skip that and go to the next because I missed it. Mary, it can be culturally affected. It can be culturally more extreme, I think, in some cultures. Absolutely. Our culture has, I think it just shows up differently, honestly. I think our culture has a different version of what perfectionism looks like. It's the American way here, right? It's the standards. It's the you work hard and you will achieve great things, which is, there's plenty of people who work hard who don't. That's not perfection. There's not the perfection. That's not the ideal. That's not the should. The should is you live a good life. Well, there's no should. If you aim to live a good life with better intention, then your outer world hopefully will start to match the inner world, right? I also raised to believe self-confidence is arrogance and sinful, and it makes a mess of your mind. So what's the difference between self-confidence and being boastful? It's huge. Somebody who is, even in a religious sense or in a spiritual sense, if you are strong in a faith, or if you are self-confident in yourself, then you are giving toward other people because you're not needing to prove anything. It's arrogance and boastfulness and narcissism that's the problem. and that's not a way to not create a narcissist, by telling someone to not have pride in themselves. Okay. The journey is not the destination. You're right. What is living a good life in regards to striving versus perfectionism? It's, again, what we talked about in the beginning, Grace. I think it has to do with living toward the intent that you have of your own self-worth, your own sense of who you are, being authentically who you are. Like Crystal was saying, she's silly and goofy, and no one's going to change that. Somebody with a perfectionist ideal of someone being very serious would not be a good fit for her because that would completely force her to not live and strive toward her own good life, right? Whereas if she wanted to work a job or something where she had to contain that energy and be a little less goofy, she could do so with understanding that she can bring that in a different way to the table. Like, obviously we can't just be ourselves all the time, but 100%, right? But she could bring that in a way to work toward a goal of maybe bringing her lighthearted attitude towards something more serious in a way that can be understood by other people in an appropriate way for the setting. That isn't her trying to make it perfect. That's her trying to fit who she is into something where she brings herself to it. Does that make sense? I'm totally using you as an example, as a pretend example there. But I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what's in my head. Okay. When you're always strive for a goal, there's always the next goal. There is, and goals are great. Goals are great. It's thinking that that goal is some perfect ideal that will, that's it. That if I don't meet that perfect idealization happens sometimes, and it's okay. We don't want to like get rid of goal setting and get rid of the beautiful thing of like, if I had the perfect life, what would it be? That's it's a coaching tool. First of all, I wouldn't want to get rid of that, but it's thinking it's thinking that if I don't have that perfect life, that I don't exist, that I'm bad, that I'm wrong, that something's wrong with me. That's the problem. It's the inner mindset of it. It's not idealization isn't a great place to live all the time. That's for moments of seeking something outside of the box that you live in, right? Something moving you. It's for pointing you in a direction, not for clinging to it like it's the only thing there is. And if I don't meet that, then I'm bad. And I could never meet that anyway because I'm not perfect, right? It's the mindset, not the thinking, all right? Hi, Between. An article came out describing how 85% of people have self-esteem issues and how to combat this. Excellent. I love the look on their faces when they're not. Okay. Violet says there should be a program like DARE, a drug program in the States for abuse. It should teach stuff to children early. Yeah. Flexibility isn't conformity. Right. Yeah. That's kind of what I was trying to say. I don't know if I answered that question very well. I'm getting to the hour mark, and that's where my brain has to like switch topics or wants to just get silly. So, it's funny how that is. I should stretch that. I just said should. I just said don't say should, and I said should. How funny. Okay. I would like to stretch that. There's how you work with it. There was me being a perfectionist for a moment. I should do that. I should do that better. That wasn't good enough of me. I start to poop out at 1 hour. That's something wrong with me. It was all going on in my head really fast in a flash. And I said, I should do that. Instead, I'm going to change that thought right here in front of y'all to, I would like to stretch my own beliefs about my limits. And I would like to go to 1 hour and 10 minutes without becoming completely silly. A little silly is okay, but you know what I mean? Like being able to focus would be great for that much longer on one topic. It's a long time to talk about a topic, admittedly, but it's okay. I can push it a little further and go there. It's all good. There we go. Hi, Kira. What? You're human? I am. All right. Trying to change my relationship. No shitting yourself. I know, that's funny. I just said, yeah, but it's good. It's a good example how we just do it. Okay. I have endless energy for talking and focus. There's another one. I do. I have endless energy for talking and focus. I have the energy I choose to put in this moment, and I choose to put it in. There we go. All right. Okay, you guys, anything else you want to talk about today on this topic or any other topic? If you have any questions, I'll have a few more minutes before I have to head out of here. No dog barking break. They've been so good today. It's been quiet. They're staring at me. It's like it's about to happen. She's like, I don't need to bark today. It's all good. I'm being perfect. Haha. Thanks for helping to fix life. Thanks for fixing life with me. You just helped me do something good here for myself. So that's good. Okay. Yeah, you guys, be who you are. Okay. Be you. That's what the world needs. We need people who are authentically themselves and who are living, and that's what we need, right? We need to be ourselves. And there's no perfect ideal of who you are. You are imperfect. Ha and that's good. It's freeing. Let's put it that way. to realize that you don't need to meet some standards somebody set for you. It's completely freeing, and that you're setting for yourself. They bring good energy. Good. I'm glad everyone loves the dogs. And if you don't, I'm sorry, but they bark. Okay. All right, you guys, anything you want to talk about Thursday or Friday, hit me up. Let me know. Any topics, you can always add topics to any comment on any video. Just comment on any video. Lise, can you talk about this? This is the topic I thought of, and I will write it down and get to it as I can. If it's something I feel I can talk for an hour about. And if not, I'll add it to a shorter version with other topics mixed in if I can. So go ahead and do that anytime. If you've not hit the subscribe button, hit subscribe and the thumbs up, y'all. Thumbs up. I don't know what the y'all is today, but I think I've been talking to people who say that a lot. You know who you are. And that's it. Again, if you, okay. So we're at the end of the month. Starting in November, group coaching is starting up again. If anyone is in need of that or interested in that, there is information down in the main description of every video about the group coaching that's going on currently. It is Wednesdays, 3:30 or 5 Pacific, 11 a.m. on Fridays Pacific. That's when the meeting times is. It also includes a messenger chat that goes 24/7 pretty much, but it's, I'm not in there that long, but other people are in there at all times of day because they're all over the world. So it's kind of cool. There's always someone to, some peer support in there. And I come in when I can and offer coaching support as I am able. Anyway, so there's that. That starts up again next. It's ongoing. You can start anytime, but officially it starts at the beginning of every month. So the beginning of November, first Wednesday in November. Can I do a show on Oswald? I totally could. He would like that. We called Oswald Hour. Yes. Ruby might be jealous. She likes to hone in and get in between. So she's the baby. All right. Anything else here? Okay. Ooh, she said I had very high expectations and that was an extension of her. Seriously. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Did I get it all? If you need text notifications or would like text notifications of my going live, text me at 33222. Put the word Lise Live, LISELIVE, hit send, and I will text you about 10 minutes prior. It's the only text you'll get from me. So I won't be flooding your inbox with nonsense. Just this. I think that's it, you guys. Take care. Oh, yeah. And remember that the coaching special that's going on, 35% off 1 hour session. So if you need that, or if you know anyone who needs that, send them over. It's over on queenbeing.com. Information's in the main description. The link to get there is in the main description of this video and all the other videos. So, okay, that's it. Love and strength and blessings to everyone, says Crystal Jean. And I offer that as well to everyone. Take care. I'll see you Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Go be imperfect, y'all. Y'all, what is that today? Go be imperfect, everyone, as we say in the North. Goodbye.